morning students, welcome to maths online class. Next revision on probability chapter. Okay, in a probability you learnt one formula. Based on that formula only we are solving problems on a probability. That formula is this one, P of E means event. Okay, so probability of any event is calculated by using this formula, that is number of trials in which event E has happened dividing by total number of trials. Okay, so using that formula, how to find the probability that she did not hit a boundary in this problem. You are given in a cricket match, a batswoman hits a boundary 6 times out of 30 balls she plays. Find the probability that she did not hit a boundary. Now what is the event here? You are asked a probability that she did not hit a boundary. This one, she did not hit a boundary, that you have to consider as a event now. Okay, so here number of trials in which event E has happened means number of trials place now balls, number of balls in which event E means she bats woman did not hit a boundary. Event E has happened in that place, she did not hit a boundary. Dividing by total number of trials means the total number of balls she faced. So here since you are given she hits a boundary 6 times out of 30 balls, means the remaining balls she is not hitting a boundary. Okay, so in the answer part you have to write a number of balls in which she means a batswoman hits a boundary. It's a boundary that is equal to, you are given, that is in the question 6. So therefore number of balls in which she did not hit a boundary. She did not hit a boundary, that is equal to, how to get to that? You are given a total number of balls, that is how much? That is equal to 30. Total she faced 30 balls, out of that in 6 balls she hits a boundary. So in the remaining balls, in the remaining means you have to subtract this from this, then remaining balls means in 24 balls she is not hitting a boundary. Okay, so we are asked a probability that she did not hit a boundary. For that you have to write a probability P of she did not hit a boundary. Hit a boundary, that is equal to, I will not write a full formula, I gave already in the notes, copy that. Okay, I will explain what you have to write in numerator and what you have to write in denominator. Number of balls now, number of balls in which she did not hit a boundary, that is in a numerator. In how many balls she did not hit a boundary? In 24 balls. Okay, so 24 balls, that is the number of balls in which she did not hit a boundary, dividing by total number of trials. Total number of trials means now here total number of balls she faced, that is 30. Okay, now you simplify this 24 dividing by 30 and that gives you how much? You can cancel both the numbers by 6 4 times here, 6 5 times. So answer is 4 by 5. Okay, and you have to know that always probability answer P of E answer that is always less than or equal to 1 and greater than or equal to 0. This one also you have to keep in mind. Okay, we may ask a question, one more question on this probability of any event that is less than or equal to 1 and greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so always probability answer you will get less than or equal to 1 and greater than or equal to 0. You won't get more than one answer and you will not get the negative answers. Okay, thank you. Next problem is 1500 families with the 2 children were selected randomly and the following data were recorded. Number of girls in a family, number of families. Okay, number of girls in a family 0, 1, 2 and number of families 0, 2, 11, 1, 3, 14 and 2, 475. compute the probability of a family chosen at random having a first one 2 girls, second one 1 girl, and third one no girl. You have to find the probability that the family having 2 girl and 1 girl and no girl. For that you have to use the same formula. P of E is equal to number of trials in which event E has happened dividing by total number of trials. Now probability of first one, probability of 2 girls you have to find. For that how this formula becomes, number of trials means the number of families now, okay, number of families having 2 girls, number of families having 2 girls, event E is now number of a family having 2 girls, that is the event E, okay. How many families having 2 girls, that you have to write in numerator place, that is 475 dividing by total number of trials means total number of families. How many families are there? Total you are given 1500 families, okay. So 1500 total number of trials place you have to write 1500, and since both the numbers you can cancel by 5, you simplify this further, okay. You cancel by 5, 5 3 times 15, 0 times 0 times, and 5 9 times 45, 2 left 5 5 times 25, and again you can cancel by 5, 5 how many times, 5 once 5, then 4 left 5 9 times, then 5 6 times here 0 times. So answer, simplified answer for this is 19 by 60, okay. So this is a probability that the chosen family is having 2 girls. You have to find the probability of a 1 girl, means the probability that the selected family is having a 1 girl. How many families are with the 1 girl, that you have to write in numerator place. Number of families having 1 girl is 814, okay, dividing by total number of trials means total number of families, that is 1500, and you simplify this, both numbers you can cancel by 2, 2 4 times 8, 0 times okay, 2 doesn't divide 1, so 0 times then 14, 2 7 times 14, and 2 7 times 14, 1 left 2 5 times 10, 0 times 0, okay. So 4 not 7 dividing by 750, that is the probability of 1 girl. Next you have to find the probability of a family chosen is with the no girl, okay. So P of no girl, so that is equal to what in a numerator? In numerator you have to write number of families with the no girl. How many families are having a no girl? 211. There are 211 families with the no girl, dividing by total number of families. Always for a given problem denominator is same, that is total number of trials, that is same, that is 1500. You can see in each denominator you have 1500, and you can't simplify this further. So this is the simplified answer for this, okay. Probability that the selected family is with the no girl, that is 211 dividing by 1500, okay. Thank you. Next problem is 3 coins are tossed, were tossed simultaneously 200 times, okay. 200 times 3 coins are tossed with the following frequencies of different outcomes. Outcome 3 heads, 2 heads, 1 head and no head. Frequency means how many times 3 heads comes 23 times, and 2 heads comes 72 times, 1 head comes 77 times, and no head comes 28 times. You have to use this table. Suppose 3 coins were simultaneously tossed again, then you are asked to compute the probability of 2 heads coming up, okay. You have to find probability of what? Probability of 2 heads. So you have to write like this, P of 2 heads, it is equal to, according to the formula, P of E is equal to number of trials in which event E has happened, means now here number of tosses in which you got 2 heads on the 3 coins, okay. So here what you have to write, number of tosses in which 2 heads comes up dividing by total number of tosses, okay. 2 heads. How many times 2 heads appears? 72 times. And how many tosses are done? How many tosses? Total 200 times tossed. 3 coins are tossed total 200 times. Out of that 72 times you will get 2 heads on 3 coins. Okay. So 72 dividing by 200, and you can simplify this further by cancelling by 2. 3 times 6, 1 left, 2, 6 times, then 2, 10 times 20, 0 times 0. 2 ones 2, 1 left, 2 8 times 16, then 2 5 times 0 times, and 2 9 times here 2 25 times. So answer is what? That is 9 by 25. This is the probability of 2 heads while tossing coin 3 coins simultaneously. Okay, thank you. Next problem is to know the opinion of students about the subject statistics. A survey of 200 students was conducted. The data is recorded in the following table. Table is like this: opinion, number of students, students like statistics 135, okay, 135 students likes statistics and 65 students dislike statistic subject, and you have to find the probability that a student chosen at random like statistics and second one does not like statistics. Now you have to find a probability that a student like statistics, and what is the probability that the selected chosen student like statistics. How to find? You have to see the table. How many students like statistics? There are 135 students like statistics. Okay, that you have to write in numerator place. That is the number of trials in which event E has happened. Event E is what? Student liking statistics subject. How many students, how many number of trials means now here a number of students, okay, number of students who likes statistics subject, that you have to write in numerator place 135 dividing by total number of trials means total number of students. How many students were there? Total a survey of 200 students was taken, okay. So dividing by total number of trials is a total number of students, okay, that is 200, and you have to simplify this further. 2 by 5 you can cancel. 5 2 times 10, 3 left, 5 7 times 35, then 5 4 times 20, then 5 0 times, okay, 27 by 40. That is what? That is the probability that the chosen student like statistics subject. Then you have to find probability that the chosen student does not like statistics, okay. Student does not like statistics, and that is equal to number of trials in which event E has happened. Means what is the event E? Student does not like statistics. How many students does not like statistics? That you have to write in numerator place dividing by total number of students. Total number of students 200. Always for a given problem denominator is same. For this problem denominator is 200, okay, and you can cancel here also by 5. 5 ones 5, 5 3 times 15, 5 4 times 20, 0 times 0, and here probability is 13 by 40 for this probability that the selected student does not like statistics subject, okay. Thank you. The 11 bags of wheat flour, each marked 5 kg, actually contained the following weights of flour in kg, and you are given like this kgs, okay. Find the probability that any of these bags chosen at random contains more than 5 kg of flour. You have to find the probability that the selected bag contains more than 5 kg of flour, okay. So bag contains more than 5 kg flour. That is the event now, okay. Bag contains more than 5 kg flour. Using this given data, you have to see how many bags contains more than 5 kg of a flour. Okay, there are how many? 1, 2, more than 5 kg. Okay, 5 point more than 5.00, that you have to see. 5.00 exactly 5, don't mark that, and 5.06 that is more than 5, 5.08 more than 5, then 5.04 that is more than 5, this is also more than 5, 5.00 not more than 5, that is equal to 5. Okay, so how many bags contains more than 5 kg? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 bags which contains more than 5 kg flour. Dividing by total number of bags. How many bags? Total you have 11 bags. Okay, 11 bags for wheat flour are each marked 5 kg. Okay, total there are 11 bags. In that 7 bags contains more than 5 kg of flour. So this is the probability that the chosen bag contains more than 5 kg of flour. Okay, thank you. Next problem is an organization selected 2400 families at random and surveyed them to determine a relationship between the income level and the number of vehicles in a family. The information gathered is listed in the table below. This is the information about that survey, and suppose a family is chosen at random. Find the probability that the family chosen is earning rupees 10,000 to 13,000 per month and owning exactly 2 vehicles. Okay, so you have to find the probability of this one. So you have to write like this: P of this one. Probability that the selected family is earning rupees 10,000 to 13,000 per month and owning exactly 2 vehicles. So what you have to write in numerator? You have to write how many families are with this condition, that is earning rupees 10,000 to 13,000 per month and owning exactly 2 vehicles. Okay, for that you have to use this table. Now income level you have to see 10,000 to 13,000, that is in this row. Okay, the 10,000 to 13,000 income level is in this row, and owning exactly 2 vehicles, is in this column, vehicles column, 2 column, and income level 10,000 to 13,000, that row, that is meeting at which number? At 29. Means there are 29 families. Their income level is like this, 10,000 to 13,000, and they have exactly 2 vehicles. Okay, so you have to write in a numerator 29 dividing by total number of trials. Place a total number of families now. Total how many families are surveyed? Total 2400 families are surveyed. So this is the probability of the first one. Next, you have to find the probability that the selected family is earning this much income, that is 16,000 or more per month and owning exactly 1 vehicle. For that you have to see this row, that is income level 16,000 or more, means 16,000 or more. This row you have to see, and owning exactly 1 vehicle column. 1 vehicle column, that is here. Okay, this column, vehicle 1 column, and income level of 16,000 or more row, that is meeting at which number? This one, 579. Means there are 579 families whose income level is 16,000 or more and they have exactly 1 vehicle. So here a probability of this is equal to, you have to write in a numerator which number? 579, because these many families are with this condition. So here 579 dividing by total number of families, that is same for this problem, 2400. Next, third one you have to find the probability of family chosen is earning less than 7,000 per month and does not own any vehicle. For that you have to search in a table that how many families are with this condition, that you have to write in numerator dividing by total number of families, that is same of 2400. So now you have to see in the table how many families are earning rupees less than 7,000 per month and does not own any vehicle. Okay, so see income level in that less than 7,000, here it is that row, and does not own vehicle means zero vehicle. So there are 10 families with the less than 7,000 income and they are not having any vehicle. Okay, so in the numerator you have to write 10 dividing by 2,400. You can cancel by 10 once 10 to 40 times. So 1 by 240, that is the probability in the third case. Okay, thank you. So fourth one in that earning rupees 13,000 to 16,000 per month and owning more than 2 vehicles. You have to find the probability of a chosen family is with this condition. Okay, so you have to find P of this one. For that what you have to see in the table, you have to see in the table how many families are with this condition, that is earning rupees 13,000 to 16,000 per month, that is in this row. Okay, and they are owning more than 2 vehicles. More than 2 vehicles means above 2 vehicles column, that and this row income level 13,000 to 16,000 row, that is meeting at which number, at 25, means there are 25 families with the income level 13,000 to 16,000 and they are having more than 2 vehicles. Okay, so in the numerator you have to write 25 dividing by total number of families, that is 2,400. I can cancel by 5 times and 5 4 times 20, then 5 8 times 40, 0 times 0. Okay, then again you can cancel by 5 once 5 9 times 45, then 3 left 5 6 times 30. Okay, so 1 by 96, that is the probability of the selected family is with this condition. Next last one, you have to find the probability that the selected family is owning not more than 1 vehicle. Not more than 1 vehicle means they can have either 0 vehicle or 1 vehicle, but not more than that. Okay, so now you have to find how many families are with this condition, that is owning either 0 vehicle or 1 vehicle. For that what you have to do, 0 vehicle and 1 vehicle column, that column total you have to take. Okay, 0 vehicle column and 1 vehicle column, total of that families you have to take 10 plus 1 11, 11 plus 2, 11 plus 2 13, 13 plus 1, that is 14. Okay, so there are 14 families in this column, 0 column, and in 1 column how many families are there? 9 plus 9 18, 18 plus 5 plus 5, that is 28. Okay, 2 left, then 2 plus 7 9, 9 plus 6 15, 15 plus 3 that is 18, 18 plus 6 24, then 2 left, 5 plus 2 7, 7 plus 4 11, 11 plus 5 16, 16 plus 3 19, 19 plus 1 19 plus 1 20. Okay, 2048 plus 14, what is this? That gives you the number of families owning not more than 1 vehicle, means either they have 0 vehicle or 1 vehicle. Total of that 4 plus 8 12, 1 left, 4 plus 1 plus 1 6, then 2 0. Okay, 2062 families. If you take on total of these families, that gives you 2062, means that many families are not owning more than 1 vehicle, means they are having either 0 vehicle or 1 vehicle. There are how many families are there? 2062 dividing by total number of families, that is 2400. Can cancel by 2 once 0 times, 3 times, 1 time. Okay, then here 2 once 2 times 0 times 0 times. So what is the probability here? 1031 dividing by 1200. This is the probability of the selected family is owning not more than 1 vehicle. Okay, thank you. Next problem is The performance of students of class 10th in a mathematics test are given below like this table. Marks 0 to 27, 20 to 30 10, 30 to 40 10 students, 40 to 50 20 students, and 50 to 60 20 students, 60 to 70 15 70 above students 8 and total you are given 90 students. Okay, if you take total of these students, number of students column, you will get 90, means there are 90 students are there in class 10 and their marks given in the table. And for that you have to find the probability that a student obtained less than 20%, less than 20% in mathematics, that you have to find, means you have to find the probability that the student, you have to find the probability of a student obtained less than 20% in mathematics, that is equal to how to find you have to write in a numerator how many students obtained less than 20% marks. You have to see the table. So in the table where you will get the number of students who obtain less than 20% mark. See 0 to 20 means in that from 0 to 20 all are there but except 20. 20 comes in the next class interval. So in a 20 to 30 you know that this 30 that is in a next class interval. 30 mark you have to include in next class interval, and this 40 you are including in a next class interval in this. Okay, 50, this 50 you are including in this class interval. So like that in a 0 to 20 in that class interval 20 is not there. Okay, 20 is not there means less than 20 marks comes in 0 to 20 class interval. So there are how many students are there? 7 students. Okay, means 7 students obtained marks in between 0 to 20 means less than 20%. So there are 7 students who obtained less than 20% mark in mathematics, dividing by total number of students, that is 90. You are given total how many students? 90 students. Next like that, second one, find the probability that a student obtained marks 60 or above. Okay, you have to find the probability that a student obtained marks 60 or above. For that also you have to see the table how many students obtained 60 or above marks. Okay, 60 or above means in which class intervals you have 60 or above marks. See in 60 to 70 this is more than 60. Okay, 60 also there, 60 and more than 60, and in this 70 or above, in that also you have vote more than 60. Okay, so in these two class intervals you have 60 or above. So the students in that class interval you have to take the sum of that. Okay, 15 plus 8 that is 23. So here we are writing 23. How we got a 23? 60 or above. For that you have two class intervals, 60 to 70 and 70 or above. Okay, 60 to 70 in that equal to 60 is there and more than 60 also there, and in this class interval also you have more than 60 marks. Okay, so total there are how many students? 15 plus 8 that is 23, dividing by total number of students 90. Okay, so 23 by 90, that is the probability that a student obtain marks 60 or above. Thank you. Next problem is a die is thrown 1000 times with the frequencies for the outcomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 are given below in the table. Outcome 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 appeared 179 times, 2 appeared on the die 150 times, 3 appeared 157 times, 4 appeared 149 times, and 5, number 5 appeared 175 times, 6 appeared 190 times. Okay, you are asked to find the probability of getting each outcome. Means you have to find the probability of getting 1, getting 2, getting 3, getting 4, getting 5, 6 like that. Okay, so now first probability of getting 1, that is equal to in how many throws you got 1 dividing by total number of throws. Okay, in how many total number of throws, that is the same for each outcome, that is 1000 times. Okay, out of 1000 times how many times 1 appeared on the die, 179. Okay, so probability of getting outcome 1 is 179 dividing by 1000. And next probability of getting outcome 2. How many times 2 appears on the die? 150 times dividing by 1000. And here you can simplify this further by cancelling 0 at the end, and next you cancel by 5 3 times and 5 2 times 10 0 times. Okay, so 3 by 20. Next probability of getting outcome 3, getting 3, that is equal to how many times 3 appeared on the die? 157 times, 157 times out of 1000. Okay, total number of trials is total number of throws, and in how many throws this outcome 3 appears? 157 times. Okay, and next probability of getting next outcome, that is getting 4, probability of getting 4, that is equal to how many times of 4 appears? 149. That you have to write in numerator dividing by total number of throws 1000. Next probability of getting next outcome, that is getting 5. Okay, that is equal to getting 5 how many times? 175 times dividing by total number of throws that is 1000. Next probability of getting next outcome, that is 6, that is equal to how many times 6 appears? 190 times dividing by 1000. Okay, and here 0 0 cancels and we left with 19 by 100. Okay, so like this you have to find the probability of each outcome. Okay, thank you. The distance in kilometer of 40 engineers from their residence to their place of work were found as follows. Like this you are given a distance between residence and the place of work of 40 engineers. Okay, and you have to find what is the empirical probability that an engineer lives in less than 7 kilometer from their place of work, first one, and second one more than 7 kilometer from their place of work, and next third one you have to find the probability that engineer within a half kilometer from their place of work. Okay, you have to find the probability of 3. Now for the first one you have to find probability that engineer, okay, engineer lives in less than, probability of engineer lives in less than 7 kilometer from their place of work. For that you have to use a P of E formula, that is a number of trials in which event E has happened dividing by total number of trials. So now in the numerator what you have to write? How many engineers come from a place which is less than 7 kilometer from their place of work. For that you have to see this data. Okay, less than 7 kilometer, how many are there? 1, this is less than 7, this is less than 7, and 2, that is less than 7, then 3, 6, then 5, then 2 and 3, that are that distances are less than 7, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9, here one is there. So total 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9, total you have 9 engineers whose residence is less than 7 kilometer from their place of work. So in the numerator you have to write number of engineers who come from a place which is 7 kilometer from their place of work. There are 9 engineers. Okay, 9 engineers, and in denominator total number of trials means now here total number of engineers, total how many engineers you are given? Total 40 engineers. Okay, so 9 by 40, that is the empirical probability that engineer lives in less than 7 kilometer from their place of work. And next second one you have to find the probability of this, that is the probability that engineer lives lives in more than or equal to 7 kilometer from their place of work. These highlighted distances that are less than 7 kilometer. There are 9 distances which are less than 7 kilometer. Okay, all other distances other than highlighted numbers, all other numbers are more than or equal to, some are equal to 7 and other are more than 7. So how many are there more than or equal to? There are 31. I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So there are 31 distances which is more than or equal to 7 kilometer. That implies there are 31 engineers who come from a place which is more than or equal to 7 kilometer from their place of work. So in the numerator you have to write 31. That gives you number of engineers who come from a place which is more than or equal to 7 kilometer from their place of work, dividing by total number of engineers, that is 40. Okay, so 31 by 40, that is the probability of a second one. Next third one, you have to find probability that engineer lives in within half kilometer from their place of work. Okay, probability that engineer lives in within a half kilometer from their place of work. Can you see any distance which is less than half kilometer? You can't see any distance which is less than half kilometer in this data, right? So that implies there are no engineers who come from a place which is less than half kilometer. Within means less than half. Okay, less than half kilometer from their place of work. Okay, so number of engineers who come from a place which is less than half kilometer is 0, dividing by total number of engineers, that is 40. So answer is 0 by 40, that is 0. So probability here is 0. Okay, thank you. Next revision on circle chapter. In a circle chapter you have many definitions. All that definitions you have to by heart, because any definition may come for a fill in the blanks question or 1 mark question. Okay, and main definition in that chapter is this one: the collection of all points in a plane which are at a fixed distance from a fixed point, that is called a circle. Definition of a circle. Okay, you know that circle is like this. It has one fixed point, and that fixed point is called a center of the circle. And what is a circle? In a circle you have many points, and that points are special points. How they are special? These points on the circle are equidistant, are at a fixed distance, means of equidistant from the center of the circle, from the fixed point. Okay, so all these points or how these points are equi or a fixed distance from the fixed point. This is a fixed point. So collection of all points which are at equidistant or a fixed distance from the fixed point, that is called a circle. Okay, circle means that is nothing but the collection of points, and you should not collect any points. That points should be equidistant or a fixed distance from the fixed point. If you collect such points, then you will get one shape. That shape is a circle. So circle is the collection of all points which are at a fixed distance, which are fixed distance from the fixed point, that is called a circle. And you know that this fixed point is called center of the circle, and this fixed distance, if you see distance between any point on the circle and this fixed point, that is the same. Okay, that are all equal. Okay, if one distance measure 2 centimeter, then all other distances are also same, measures 2 centimeter. So this fixed distance, that is called radius of the circle, and this fixed point that is called center of the circle. Okay, that all definitions you have to by heart. And next you have a chord of a circle. chord of a circle means what? Suppose you have a circle and if you join any 2 points on the circle like this, if P and Q are 2 points on the circle, and if you draw a line joining P and Q, that line is called a chord of the circle. So chord means what? A chord is nothing but the line. How that line is that is joining any 2 points on the circle. So chord means that is the line joining any 2 points on the circle. And next, suppose you draw one chord which is passing through the center of the circle. That chord has a special name, that is called diameter of the circle. Suppose this is the center of the circle, and if you draw a chord through that center, then this chord is called diameter of the circle. Okay, so in a diameter you can see you have 2 radii. Okay, what is radii? Radii means that is a line of segment joining the center to any point on the circle. So one radius is there, here one more radius is there. So combination of these 2 radii is what? That is the diameter. So in a diameter you have 2 radii. So that you have to take as a formula. Diameter is equal to 2 times radius. Okay, you can see in a diameter you have 2 radii. So diameter is equal to 2 times radius. This one you have to by heart as a formula. Then diameter is the longest chord. If you draw many chords like this and if you compare these chords with the diameter of the circle, then among all these chords diameter is the longest chord. You can take one activity, you draw many chords for a given circle, and you just measure all the chords length, and you just see which is the longest chord, and that is nothing but the diameter of the chord. Diameter, only diameter will be the longest chord. And for a given circle you can draw many diameters. Okay, through the center of the circle you can draw many lines and that are diameters. Okay, and next you have arc of the circle. Arc of the circle means what? Suppose you draw one circle, and if you take 2 points on the circle P and Q, then which is the longer piece of the circle? Longer piece is this one. This one is the longer piece of the circle in between these 2 points. So this longer piece that is called a major arc, and this smaller piece is this one, that is called a minor arc of the circle. So major arc and minor arc means what? Major arc means that is the longer piece of the circle between given 2 points, and minor arc means that is the smaller piece of the circle between given 2 points. And first of all, what do you mean by arc? Arc means that is the piece of the circle between given 2 points. Okay, so arc means that is the piece of the circle between 2 points. If you take a piece like this, this is a piece of the circle between 2 points, that piece is called arc of the circle. If you take 2 points, then you have minor arc and major arc. Okay, and suppose you take a points like this. Suppose you take points which are the ends of the diameter. What is this? This is the diameter which is passing through the center of the circle. Okay, for a diameter you have end points, right? So if a P and Q are end points of the circle, then each piece above this PQ, chord PQ, and below PQ, what you have piece of the circle, that both the pieces are equal, that pieces are called a semicircle. Okay, so semicircle means what? That is the piece of the circle. When you draw diameter, then both side of diameter you have piece of the circle, that both pieces are called a semicircle. Okay, semicircles. Okay, thank you. Next is a circumference of the circle. Circumference of the circle means what? Suppose you draw like this circle, then the length of this complete circle, that is called circumference of the circle, and that is given by this formula 2 into pi into r. and pi value you can take a 22/7 or 3.14, and r is the radius of the circle. Okay, so to find the length of the complete circle you have to use this formula 2 into pi into r. R means the radius of that circle. Next you have a segment of the circle. Segment of the circle means what? Segment means that is the region between what and what? Between the chord and the arc of the circle. Okay. So segment means that is the region between the arc and the chord of the circle. Suppose you draw one circle, and if you draw one chord, suppose this is a chord PQ, then the region between this chord and the arc, this region, that is called segment of the circle. And you have two types of segments depending on this major arc and a minor arc. And you can see this side you have a minor arc. Okay, this is a minor arc, and this side downside you have a major arc. So you have two types of segments depending on a minor arc and a major arc. You have a region between, this is the region between what and what, this is the region between the minor arc and the chord of the circle. So this region, that is called what? Minor segment. So minor segment means what? That is the region, this is the region between the minor arc, okay, minor arc and the chord of the circle, that is the minor segment. And the major segment means what? Major segment means that is this region. Okay, this region is how, that is the region between the chord and the major arc. So the region between the major arc and the chord, that is called a major segment. Okay, so segment means that is the region between the arc and the chord of the circle. If you have minor arc, then you have minor segment. If you have major arc, then region is a major segment. Okay, thank you. You learned definition of a sector of the circle. Sector of the circle means that is also region between what and what. That is the region between the arc and the two radii. How that two radii are? That two radii are joining the center to what? To the end points of that arc. Okay, suppose you draw one circle, and P and Q are 2 points on the circle. Then this side also you have arc, this side also you have arc. Okay, and if you join the end points of that arc with the center of the circle, then you have a region between the arc and the two radii. These two are what? Radii joining what and what? Joining the center. I'll take a center as O, center to what? To the end points of that arc. Okay, so that region is called what? Sector of the circle. And depending on minor arc or a major arc, you have minor sector and a major sector. Okay, major sector means what? Major sector means that is the region between the major arc and the two radii joining the center to end points of that major arc. Okay, so this region, that this shaded region below that, below this radii which I shaded, that region is called a major sector. Okay. So what is a major sector? Major sector means that is the region between the major arc, this is the major arc, and the two radii joining the center to end points of that major arc. And if you have minor arc, then you have a minor sector. This is a minor sector. Okay. And what is a minor sector? Minor sector is the region between the minor arc and the two radii joining the center to the end points of the minor arc. Okay. So depending on a minor arc or a major arc, you have two types of a sector. Minor sector this side and major sector below this. Okay, below these two radii you have major sector here in this figure, and above these two radii you have a what? Minor sector. Minor sector is the region between minor arc and the two radii joining the center to end points of the minor arc, and major sector means that is the region between the major arc and the two radii joining the center to end points of that major arc. Okay. So, internal sector means that is the region between the arc and the two radii joining the center to end points of that arc. If my arc is minor arc, then you have minor sector. If arc is a major arc, then you have major sector. Okay. Thank you. Next, concentric circles and congruent circles. Concentric, in the name itself you have concentric means two or more circles having the same center are called concentric circle. Okay. If two or more circles are having a same center, then they are called concentric circles. See here you have many circles and they have same center. Okay, they have same center O, and these, if you observe these concentric circles, these circles are of a different size, but they have same center. Okay, and next congruent circles, two or more circles having the same radii are called congruent circles. Okay, if two or more circles having the same radii, then they are called congruent circles. Okay, here I drawn a congruent circles. Congruent circles means they have same radii. I taken a circle of a radius of 5 centimeter. So if two or more circles are having the same radii, then they are same in a size. Okay, if two or more circles are having a same size, then they are called congruent circles. Here you can see circles are of a same size, but here are circles you have circles of a different sizes, but they have same center. Okay, here center is same, radius may be any. Okay, but here radii are same, and there centers are different. Here you have center here, and center is different for other three circles. Okay, so this is about congruent and concentric circles. Thank you. Next, true false questions. Write true or false. Give reasons for your answer. Okay. First one, line segment joining the center to any point on the circle is the radius of the circle. Okay. Suppose you have a circle, then what is the radius of the circle? Radius of the circle means that is the line. Okay, what you are given here, line segment joining the center O to any point P on the circle. So that gives you radius of the circle, that you know. So this is the true statement. Okay, so you have to write this statement is true, that is by definition. If you draw figure according to this statement, then you will get a radius of the circle. So this statement is correct. Okay. And next, a circle has only finite number of equal chords, that is true or false. See, suppose you draw a circle, then you can draw one chord of length 2 centimeter like this, and you can draw one more chord of same length like this, one more chord like this of same length 2 centimeter like this. You can draw many chords of same length. So what you can decide about this statement? A circle has only finite number of equal chords. That is a wrong statement, because you can draw for a given circle, you can draw infinitely many equal chords. Okay, you can draw many chords of same length. So this statement is a wrong statement. Why? Because we can draw infinitely many equal chords. And next, third one, a chord of a circle which is twice as long as the radius is a diameter of the circle. So diameter of the circle is what? That is twice as long as the radius of the circle, and it is a chord. I already gave that under diameter of the circle. Diameter means what? That is the longest chord. So diameter means that is the chord and which is passing through the center of the circle, and I gave like this diameter, that is 2 times the radius. Okay, means diameter that is twice twice means 2 times, twice as long as a radius. Okay, you can see that in the figure also. Suppose you have a diameter like this, suppose this is the diameter, AB is the diameter, and if OA is 5 centimeter, then OB is also 5 centimeter. So then the diameter is how much? Diameter is 10 centimeter, and that is 2 times 2 times what? 2 times 5, that is the radius of the circle. So diameter, that is 10, that is twice as long as a radius. That is a true statement. Why? Because we know that diameter is equal to 2 into r. Okay. So this third statement is a true statement. Why? Because diameter is 2 times the radius, that we know. And sector is the region between the chord and its corresponding arc. Whether this statement is correct. Sector means what? See, actually sector means suppose you have arc like this and a chord like this, then this is the region between the arc and the chord, and this region is called a segment, not the sector. Okay, this is called a segment of the circle. Arc and chord, in between that you have region, here one region, here one region. This is also region between the chord and the arc of the circle. So these are called what are segments of the circle. And what is a sector of the circle? Suppose you have a like this arc PQ, this side you have a minor arc, and this side you have a major arc, and if you join the end points of that arc with the center of the circle, then the region formed on both sides of these radii are called what? Are called sector of the circle. Okay, so these are both regions are called sectors. This side you have a minor sector, this side you have major sector. So sector means what? That is the region between the arc and the what? And the two radii. They are not a chord. Okay, region between the arc and the chord is a segment, and region between the arc and the two radii joining the center to the end points of that arc, that region is called sectors. Okay, so sector means what? Sector is the region between the arc and the two radii joining the center to the end points of that arc. Okay, so this statement is a wrong statement. Why? Because you know that sector is the region between the arc, any arc, minor arc or a major arc, region between the arc and the two radii. One is this one, another one is this one, and the two radii joining the center to the end points of that arc. So that statement is a wrong statement. Next, fifth one, circle is a plane figure. That is true, because circle means what? What I gave definition. Circle means it is the collection of all points in the plane. Okay, so in the plane means that gives you plane figure. So collection of all points in the plane which are at a fixed distance from the fixed point. So since circle is the collection of all points in the plane, this circle is a plane figure. So this statement is a true statement. Okay, thank you. How to know angle subtended by the chord at the center and at any point on the circle. Suppose you have a circle like this, and if O is the center of the circle, and if you take a chord AB like this, then what is the angle subtended by the chord at the center of the circle? To get the angle subtended by the chord at the center of the circle, what you have to do is you have to join the end points of that chord with the center of the circle. So then the angle formed at the center is called what? That is called the angle formed by this subtended by this chord AB at the center of the circle. Okay, so here angle subtended by the chord at the center, that is what? That is now angle AOB. Okay, this angle AOB, that is the angle subtended by this chord AB. And What is angle subtended by the same chord at any point on the circle? Suppose I take a point P, that is a point on the circle. I taken one point on the circle. Then how to get the angle subtended by this chord at this point on the circle? Same thing you have to do here also. You have to join the end points of that chord with this point. So then the angle subtended at that point, that is called that is called angle subtended by the chord at any point P on the circle. Okay, that is now angle APB. So angle APB is what? That is the angle subtended by the same chord AB at any point P on the circle. These are things you have to know. Okay, thank you. Next, you have many theorems in circles chapter. All that theorems statements are important. Okay, proof of that statements are not there, but theorem statements are important that we are using to solve some problems. Okay, so in that first theorem says like this: equal chords of a circle subtend equal angles at the center of the circle. That is, that theorem says like this: suppose you have one circle, and if you take two chords such that they are of a same length, suppose AB and CD are two chords of same length. For example, if I take 10 centimeter, then these two chords subtend equal angles at the center of the circle. You can do one activity. You just draw one circle and take two equal chords in that and just join the end points of that chord with the center of the circle. Okay, both end points of these chords, AB, point A, point B, point C, point D, all that points you join with the center of the circle. So then angle formed at the center of the circle, they are equal. If you measure these angles, that is angle AOB and angle COD, if you measure these two angles, they measure same. For example, suppose AOB measures 80 degree, then angle COD also measures same 80 degree. So that is about theorem 1. Suppose you have two equal chords like this, then they will subtend same angle, equal angles at the center of that circle. And converse of that statement, converse of theorem 1 is nothing but theorem 2. That is, that says like this: if the angles are subtended by the chords of the circle at the center are equal, then the chords are equal. So here, suppose you take two chords AB and CD such that they make they subtend equal angles at the center. Suppose this chord AB makes angle 40 degree at the center and CD makes angle 40 degree at the center. Now how these two chords are AB and CD, that two chords subtend equal angles at the center. So then now what you can say about these two chords? They are equal. Okay, for example, suppose AB measures 11 centimeter, then CD also measures 11 centimeter. Okay, I can do one more activity for this theorem, that draw one circle and you draw two chords in such a way that they subtend equal angles at the center of the circle. Okay, and then you measure the chords length, AB length and CD length, they measure same. Okay, so that is about theorem 2. So here what we are given here, chords are equal, given AB is equal to CD is given. Using that I can prove angle AOB is equal to angle COD, that is angle subtended by AB, that is AOB, that is equal to angle subtended by CD, that is COD. Okay, if chords are equal in length, then the angle subtended by that chords are equal. That is a theorem 1. And here reverse of that. Here what you have, angle AOB is equal to angle COD, that is given to you, angles subtended by the chords are equal, that is given to you, and using that you have to prove AB is equal to CD, that is chords are equal in length, that you have to prove, okay, in this theorem. But proof is not there, just a statement is there. To explain that statement I draw this figure, okay. Next you have a problem that in that you have to prove that equal chords of a congruent circles subtend equal angles at their centers, okay. So now what you have to draw to prove this? You have to take two congruent circles, okay. So congruent circles means you have to draw two circles of same size, means you have to draw two circles with the same radii, okay. So draw two congruent circles with the same radii, and you have to keep in mind that these are congruent circles, means they have same radii, okay. Now you have to take two equal chords in that, one in this circle and another in another circle, okay. Take that as AB and CD. How AB and CD are? They are equal in length, okay, that you have to keep in mind. AB is equal to CD, and what you have to prove here? You have to prove the angle subtended by these two equal chords are equal, that you have to prove, okay. For that you have to join end points of that chord with the center of the circle. I will take a center of the first circle as P and center of second circle as Q. Join end points of both chords with the center of that circle, here with the P, here with the Q, okay. So then angle formed here is APB, that angle is equal to angle formed by this chord at the center Q is what? Angle CQD. This one you have to prove, okay, this is to prove. So we taken two equal chords, this is given, that is in the congruent circles we taken two equal chords AB and CD. We have to prove angle subtended by these two equal chords at the center of these congruent circles are equal, that is APB angle is equal to angle CQD, that you have to prove, okay. Now you can see here two triangles. Which triangles? Triangle APB and triangle CQD. In that already you know AB is equal to CD. So that we can consider AB is equal to CD. Why? Because that is in a given part, okay. So that is given, and you can see that AP, what is AP? AP is the line segment joining the center to the point on the circle, okay. So AP is the radius of this circle, and CQ, that is also radius of this circle, okay, another circle. But what we taken, these two are congruent circles. Congruent circles means they have same radii. For example, AP is 2 cm, then CQ is also 2 cm. So can I say AP is equal to CQ? We can say, because both are congruent circles, means they have same radii. So with the AP you can equate CQ of this triangle, okay. One side you have to take in that triangle, another you have to take in this triangle, okay. And next same type of PB. PB is also radius of this circle. Why? Because that is the line segment joining the center to the point on the circle. And here QD, that is also radius of this circle, that is the line segment joining the center to the point on the circle. So PB, with the PB we can equate QD, okay. So PB is equal to QD. So now what we done here, we equated all three sides of this triangle with the corresponding three sides of this triangle. So we used all three sides. So by S congruence rule, you can say these two triangles are congruent, okay. Once the triangles are congruent, then you can equate the angles opposite to equal sides, okay. Now you have to see angles opposite to equal sides. AB and CD, opposite to that, which angles you have? If you shrink AB, you will get APB, okay. Angle APB is equal to which angle you will get on the right side triangle? AB is equal to CD. Now you have to see the angle opposite to CD. If you see angle opposite to CD, what you will get? You will get angle CQD. So since we know in a congruent triangles, angles opposite to equal sides are equal. We got angle APB is equal to angle CQD. Why? Because they are the angles opposite to equal sides AB and CD. So by that what we proved? We taken AB is equal to CD and we proved APB is equal to CQD. That is the angles subtended by these two equal chords are equal, we proved. Okay. Thank you. Prove that if a chords of a congruent circles subtend equal angles, then at their centers, then the chords are equals. Okay, then the chords are equal. So what you have to do is you have to take congruent circles. We take two congruent circles. Congruent circles means you know their radii are equal. Okay, if two or more circles have same radii, then they are called congruent circles. So in that circles, what you have to take now? You have to take two chords such that they subtend equal angles at the center of that congruent circles. Okay, this is a not exact figure, this is a rough figure. You have to draw two congruent circles, means you have to draw two circles with the same radii. I will take a center of a first circle as P, another one as a Q. Now I will take two chords AB in this and CD in this circle as two chords such that they subtend equal angles at the center of that congruent circle. Okay, so here you join end points of this chord with the center of this circle and join end points of this chord with the center Q of second circle. And here what we know here, we know that the angles subtended by these two chords are equal, that we are given in this. Okay, what you have to prove is you have to prove these two chords are equal, that you have to prove. Okay, how to prove? So here what is given, with that we start. Given that angle APB is equal to angle CQD. Okay, about the figure you have to write something in the answer part. That is, we taken two congruent circles and we taken two chords AB and CD in that such that angle APB is equal to angle CQD. Okay, like that we taken two chords AB and CD. What we have to prove? We have to prove that the two chords are equal. That is, AB is equal to CD. This one we have to prove. How to prove? To prove that you have to take these two triangles. Okay, so in a triangle, which triangle? Triangle APB and triangle CQD. What we can equate? Just see, angles are equal, that we are given already. So we take that, we can take that angle APB is equal to angle CQD, that is in a given part. Okay, and since we taken a congruent circles, you know that their radii are equal. So AP is equal to CQ, you can say, and PB is equal to QD, you can say. Okay, so with the AP, what we can equate? With the AP you can equate CQ. One side you have to take in this triangle, another side you have to take in this triangle. Okay, and next PB. PB we can equate with the which one? QD. Okay, QD. And here the reason is same. Why? Because these are radii of the congruent circle. Since they are radii of congruent circles, they are equal. Okay, and here we used two pair of sides and one pair of angles. Okay, so by which congruence rule we can say these two triangles are congruent? We used two pair of sides and one pair of angles, P angle and here Q angle. So by SAS congruence rule, we can say these two triangles are congruent. Okay, by SAS congruence rule. And once the triangles are congruent, you know that the sides opposite to equal angles are equal. You know angle P is equal to angle Q. So sides opposite to these angles must be equal. Okay, if you open angle P, which side you will get? You will get AB. Okay, and here angle Q, if you open that angle, you will get CD. So AB is equal to CD. So with the what we started with the this we started and we got AB is equal to CD. That is, we taken two chords AB and CD such that they subtend equal angles. Okay, these are the angles subtended by AB and CD, and that are equal we taken, and by that what we proved? We proved that the chords are equal. Okay, that is only in congruent circles. Okay, thank you. Next, perpendicular from the center to a chord. Okay, chord of a circle. Suppose you draw one circle, and one chord AB, and if O is the center of the circle, and if you draw perpendicular from the center to this chord, suppose I draw OM, that is the perpendicular drawn from the center to the chord AB, then OM is called what? OM is called perpendicular from the center to the chord, and the length of this OM, suppose OM measures 5 centimeter, then that is called the distance of the chord AB from the center. Okay, suppose OM measures 5 centimeter, then this 5 centimeter, that is called the distance of the chord AB from the center. That is AB is 5 centimeter distance from the center. Okay, chord AB is a 5 centimeter distance from the center of the circle. So how to get a distance of the chord from the center of the circle? To get that, you have to draw perpendicular from the center to the chord, and that perpendicular measures how much? That gives you the distance of the chord from the center of the circle. Here for example I taken, suppose OM measures 5 centimeter, then that shows this chord AB, that is a 5 centimeter distance from the center of the circle. And to get this perpendicular, what you have to do? You have to draw perpendicular from the center to the chord. Okay, this is a rough figure, not exact figure. And next, theorem 3, what that says? The perpendicular from the center of a circle to the chord bisects the chord. Okay, suppose you draw one circle, and if O is the center of that circle, and if you draw one chord say AB, and if you draw perpendicular from the center to that chord, I will name that as OM. What is OM? OM is the perpendicular drawn from the center to the chord. Then that perpendicular that bisects the chord. Bisects the chord means that divides this chord into two equal parts, means AM and MB both are equal in length. Okay, I can do one activity, just to draw one circle and take any one chord AB. Okay, name that as AB, and draw perpendicular. That perpendicular must be exactly perpendicular. Okay, that should make exactly 90 degree on both sides of it with the AB. Draw perpendicular from O to that chord and name that as OM. And just measure AM length and MB length. They measure same. Suppose for example AM measures 3 centimeter, then MB is also 3 centimeter. So that is about theorem 3. That is, the perpendicular drawn from the center to the chord, that perpendicular always bisects the chord. And theorem 4 says the converse of that. Suppose you draw one line which is bisecting the chord like this. Suppose OM is the line through the center, and that bisects the chord bisects the chord means if you draw one line from the center to the chord in such a way that AM is equal to MB, then that OM is always perpendicular. Okay, the line drawn through the center of a circle to bisect the chord is perpendicular to the chord. That is, suppose you draw one circle, and if you take a center of the circle as a O, and if you have a chord AB, and if you draw one line that is from the center to that chord such that that divides this chord into two equal parts. If you draw line OM in that way, then this OM is always perpendicular to this chord. Okay, what you done here, if you draw one line that is through the center and that bisects this chord, that is that makes AM and MB same, then OM that makes always 90 degree with the chord. That means OM is perpendicular to the chord. That is about theorem 4. If you draw a line through the center such that it bisects the chord, then that line is always perpendicular to the chord. Okay, thank you.